think of us, keep thinking it.
Hello, and welcome back to this week's episode of Yip to My App. I'm still Erica Starr, and today I'm here with
Naya.
And today we're talking about the life of a flight attendant, the myths, the truths, and the stress. So first question for you today is, how did you decide that you wanted to be a flight attendant?
I can't tell you like an exact moment when I decided like, oh, I want to be a flight attendant, but I always knew I wanted to fly. Like,
Really?
I would get on planes and I would be like, I want to work this life, or like, I want to travel the world. At first, it was just like, I want to travel the world. I didn't know much about being a flight attendant, when I was younger, but I always thought like they all look so cute in their uniforms. And, like, God bless my mom, like, I started traveling when I was little. So every time I would get on a plane, I would be like, yeah, this is cool.
And there was never any fear of just like being up in the air and just not working on the ground?
Never. I mean, I can't say like I was never scared if the plane would start shaking. Yeah, because I didn't know. But I feel like now knowing what it is to be a flight attendant and having gone through like the training and learning what like turbulence really is, it doesn't really scare me. It doesn't really scare me. Like, a lot of people get really shaken up, but it doesn't really scare me.
Yeah,
I always knew.
Like, even me, like, I take flights often, but even then, like, when I'm flying places, like, for vacation, I'm like, it's that mindset of, okay, but it's not going to be this flight that anything goes wrong. It's going to be fine. Like, I don't go on vacation often, blah, blah, blah. But I feel like if I ever had to make a decision to, like, work on a plane, I'd be like, okay, the chances are growing because I'm on a plane every day or, like, for consistent periods of time.
Yeah. I mean, I always knew I wanted to be on an airplane. Like, I love it. I think it's so peaceful. I think it's so calm being up there. But my mom is always like, why do you want to do this? Why do you want to do this? Like, and she always says the same thing, right? Like, I could go to work and my plane could plummet, God forbid. But, but I always say to her, I'm like, you take the train every day to work. Like, God forbid somebody pushes you in front of the train. God
Living
forbid
in New York, driving a car.
Exactly,
like
driving a car. Like, and I don't know if you know this, but flying is one of the safest ways to travel. It's like the safest way to travel. Yeah, it's like safer than a car, safer than a boat.
Were you shooken up when there was that time period where like a bunch of planes were just crashing left and right?
You know what? That was actually a year ago, a couple days ago, like 2 days ago, that one airplane, that American Airlines plane, like hit in Washington D.C. And it's really like crazy because I've been to that airport so many times. And I haven't been there in like over a year. And I flew there the other day and I was actually kind of shook. I was like, not that it'll happen, but it was just like, just flying into that airport kind of like shook me up a little bit. I was a little nervous. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah.
It was kind of hard. It was kind of hard, because we say one thing, we say united by wings. So even if we're not the same airline, like, we all do the same job. So it sucked to have found that out. It really did.
I don't know. I just know I was spooked. I was like, the planes are all too low. Why are they flying so low? What the hell's going on?
Yeah, it was a time where it's just like
this gotta stop.
Yeah, it really did have to stop.
Okay, so when people hear the word, not the word, or just think about flight attendants, what do they picture and what's actually true?
Okay. When I tell someone I'm a flight attendant, I think like the first thing they result to is like serving drinks and like getting, cookies and snacks and stuff like that. I've had people tell me like, oh, you're just a bartender in the sky, or, you get to travel for free, like take me with you. Like, when are we going on vacation and fly me out? But
yuck.
People do not know exactly yuck. People do not know like the intensity that it takes, to be in this position. Like all of the training that we have to go through, all of like the interviewing and the process, like it's so lengthy, it's so long. And all people see is like the glitz and the glamours and like the cute little dresses and outfits and just like, nice destinations and stuff like that. No one really knows what it really is to be a flight attendant.
So what are you trained to do? Like, I don't know. I feel like there's too much to cover even, for you to be in the sky. And it's like, here are all the case scenarios that could happen. this is your job to like save these people. Like, how does that?
Yeah, so I'm glad you said that because our job is not, to cater to you and, make sure that your Coke has enough ice and you get 2 snacks instead of 1. That's not really my job. Yeah, it's enforced for us to do that stuff for people, obviously customer service, but you don't want a flight attendant to have to do their job because our job is to save you if something goes wrong. Like our flight kicks in, all of like the evacuation drills that we learned in training, like all of that stuff kicks in. So it's like people will tell us like do your job, and it's like my job is saving your behind. It is saving your behind. God forbid this plane is going down or something goes wrong. Like that's really my job. Our trainings are really long, right? Depending the airline, you could be somewhere for 6 to 8 weeks or 3 to 4 weeks. I've done a training that's 6 weeks, and within those 6 weeks, we learn how to evacuate an aircraft within 90 seconds. We learn how to fight fires, all kinds of fires, like electrical fires, hidden fires. We learn one of the biggest things, which is like security and breaching, because, of the 9/11 event, that door has to stay closed and stuff like that. So security is a really, really big thing that we learn. Security and safety, like those are the number one things that they emphasize in those 6 weeks. My last airline, or like the airline that I'm currently with, when I tell you I did not touch a beverage cart during training till the last day.
Yeah.
Till the last day of training, like I walked through with a beverage cart and like I practiced service. But the amount of time that I was out there, it was just like exams on medical, CPR, evacuation, like I said, just different ways to open the doors in case of an emergency. There's so many commands that we have to learn. Like if one emergency exit is blocked, you have to go to the other one. And you'd be surprised, like people don't listen. God forbid something was to go wrong. We are trained for this. Like, just listen to what I'm saying. I understand the panic, of course. No one wants to get into like something that has to do with a plane, because usually it's fatal, unfortunately. But it's just like if people listen to us, because that's what we're trained to do, things will go so smoothly. Like, leave your bags. Nothing in the plane is more valuable than your life. Like getting you out of there.
Yeah.
Getting you out of there and making sure you're alive. Your laptop is replaceable. Like so many things are replaceable, but your life is not. And within like the 6 weeks and like the 4 weeks that I was in training, like we learned even stuff about like delivering a baby.
Really?
Yeah. Because people travel, right? All day, every day. All throughout the year, people are literally traveling. And it's just like pregnant women, who's going to stop them from going on vacation?
Yeah.
'Cause I know damn well when I'm pregnant, I'm going on my baby moon. But, anything can happen.
Yeah.
And you're limited to so many resources when you're up there. That's why our training is like so intense. Because if it's a woman's time to give birth, then I know what to do.
Yeah, and it's crazy what you said too about like just to listen to you guys, because I'm not gonna lie, I'm I'm not all there when I'm sitting in the emergency exit row and I have to listen to what the whole spiel that they give us. And I will say that something that I'm sure is annoying for you guys is when you don't get like the verbal confirmation from
Exactly. I literally, in my, what I say to people, I always say verbal confirmation. And then I'll like go through the room and they'll just be like,
no, you need to say yes.
and I'm like,
yeah.
verbal? Oh, yes. And it's funny because people will literally just like stare at you. And then I'm like, okay, verbal confirmation. And they're just like blank. I'm like, what? They're like, what? And I'm like, sir, I will move you. I don't care if you paid for extra leg room. I will move you.
Because part of it too, I think a lot of people, and it says it when you buy the ticket, but I think people are like, this is what I signed up for when I decided to sit here. And it's like, the whole thing says like, are you willing to help people? Like that's kind of, you're a part of this now.
Yeah. People think it's just extra leg room.
Yeah. But now I haven't been in the exit aisle for, not exit aisle, but exit row for a minute because I have my dog. And they're like, you can't bring a pet there. I was like,
Yeah, there's rules to the exit row. You got to be older than 15. That too.
Really?
Yeah.
That's a thing? Oh, see, damn, you're going to expect a 16-year-old to help people out?
I guess a 16-year-old is more mature than a 16-year-old. I mean, vice versa. What did I say?
I think you said 16 for both.
Oh, okay. No.
But even then, that's what I'm saying, though. Like, they're like, okay, a 16-year-old should definitely be willing. I'm like, I know a bunch of 30-year-olds who would be like, no, I'm just going to jump.
There's a lot of rules. There's a lot of rules for sitting in the emergency exit row.
See? Okay, so then, so did you go into this profession thinking that it is as serious as it is?
Yes and no. I can't say that I didn't do this so that I can travel the world, because I do have a love for travel. But it wasn't until I got into training that it all sunk in, where I'm just like, oh, this is serious. Like, this is not fun and games. Like, I did my research, of course. Like, you always need to do your research before going into things. That's what I believe. So I did my research. I knew how, like, intense, like, the lifestyle was and how serious, like, it could be. But when you really put it out to play and you're sitting in a classroom and it's like you're screaming these commands and it's like you're in a real life scenario of something like that, something could go wrong, it really sinks in. It really sinks in, and it's just like, oh, okay. I technically, I put my life on the line every time that I step on a plane. And I don't like to think like that, but that borderline, that is what it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And do you guys have like extra trainings like in between, or not even in between, but incremental trainings just to make sure you guys are all like up to date?
Yeah, depending the airline, some do it like quarterly, some do it yearly. I know some that do it like after 6 months you have to recertify. I know that the airlines that I've been in, it's once a year we do a recurrent training. It's not like 6 weeks or anything. It's just a couple of days that you go back to your like headquarters and you just like recertify yourself, go through your commands. There are some exams and stuff like that, some drills that you have to pass. But yes, we do have to recertify at least once a year to continue to fly. And like you do have to work at least 6 times a month, or a specific amount of times a month, to still keep your certifications.
Oh. Okay, so let's get into the application process. How long is it and how does it work?
Okay, so the application process is different for everyone. That's one thing. It is never the same, but it is long. I can't say that there are people that apply one day and within the next month they're hired. Maybe there are, but I've never met anyone like that. I know that the process is long. I've been through the process with multiple airlines. It's very lengthy. It could sometimes last up to a year of waiting. I could say for myself, I've applied to a couple airlines and I've waited months just to like move on to the first step. Or I've applied to an airline and I've gotten like into the next step within 24 hours. So I can't say that everyone's process is the same, but to speak for my own, it was long. Okay. It was definitely long. Like I graduated college in 2023, and in the end of college, like I knew I wanted to start flying. Like it was in my mind. So I did start applying when I was in college. And it wasn't till, I graduated in May. It wasn't until July that I got my first like invitation to interview with an airline. So how many months is that? That's like 4 months or something. Yeah. So that's where my process started. But to land my first airline, it took me from May to November.
Sheesh.
Yeah.
It's like getting like a lottery apartment.
Yeah,
it's just kind of like
it really is.
Get through the step and then you just wait.
Yeah, it's very hard to get into the industry. It's one of the most competitive industries. I will say nowadays, I feel like it's a lot harder because nowadays this is something that people see like on the internet and it's kind of glamorized and like it's something that they want to try out. So it is very competitive. It's hard. It really is hard. I cannot say that getting into an airline is easy. I don't think that my other peers could say that it is easy. Some people, on their first try, they get it. And I don't know if it's luck or what. But I'm not hating or anything. But it's a long process. It's a lengthy process. It's a lot of waiting. It's a lot of questioning. Do I really want to do this? Are they going to hire me? Am I going to move on? And the interview process usually goes like you apply, and most airlines will do like a assessment kind of thing. It's like a little computer game test and stuff like that. And then after that, you'll do like a video interview. Maybe it's with another individual, like in their hiring team, or maybe it's just like a recorded one. And then the next process is like being invited. Excuse me. It's like being invited to their headquarters. And most airlines, if not all, that's what they do. It's called a face-to-face. They invite you to their headquarters. They fly you out. Really cute. They get a little free vacation. They fly you out to their headquarters and they interview you. And most airlines, like, they'll let you know the same day, or they'll let you know within like a couple of days. But that process could take months.
Yeah.
It could take months.
I mean, as a passenger, that kind of makes me feel a little better. Also, just because there's enough time in between the steps for someone to keep thinking about the fact that they applied for this job and be like, does this fit my life? Do I care enough? Do I want to do this? Do I have the time? Because last thing I want is someone who's stressed out about a million and one other things.
Yeah.
Because being in charge of my life.
Yeah, no, I get it. But one thing I could say is like, damn, what was I gonna say? I lost my train of thought. It's a lifestyle. That's what I was gonna say. It's a lifestyle. It's not just a job. It is a complete lifestyle change. It's like a diet, honestly. Like people are like, I'm gonna go on a diet, but you cannot just, change the way you eat. You have to change everything that you do. You have to change your whole routine. It is a lifestyle. It's not just a job. It is a career, but it's a whole lifestyle change.
So then what was like the biggest culture shock to you? Like once everything's said and you're like, this is my life now, what was the thing that you were like, oh shit, I have to deal with this for as long as this is my career?
I would say like the scheduling, the way that the schedule works. If I'm going to explain it to you, most airlines, like once you finish training, you start off with a reserve schedule. And that basically means that we have a guaranteed amount of hours that we're supposed to fly a month, or guarantee, that we get a month. And most airlines, they start you off on reserve, and that's basically on call. So you can have like a block of like 2 days up to like 6 days. And you're pretty much just sitting around waiting to know if you're going to be used. And I think that was like one of the biggest shocks to me, because like I knew about it because I've like did my research, and they prepare you for it in training, but they don't really prepare you for it, because when you're sitting at home and like
making plans.
Exactly. Yeah. Have you seen that TikTok trend where it's like in firefighter mode, in case no? Okay, where it's like it's funny, like people will like set up everything that they need, and they'll call it like in firefighter mode, just in case, like,
Okay.
They call 911 and you need to go fight a fire. So it's like people will literally set up their bags, their uniform is pressed. And I know that like when I first started and I was on reserve, I would go hang out with my friends, and I would just like take my suitcase with me, or like have my uniform ready. Or if my mom is watching, like I would make her bring me stuff to the airport.
Oh my gosh.
Because they called me for work and I had to be at work, and I was out doing whatever I wanted, because like I said, it's a lifestyle,
So how far in advance do you know? Because like, what if I want to take a nap? What if I wanted to sleep?
The legal way is they have to give you 2 hours, or some bases 2.5 hours. I know like with my company and where I'm based, because I'm based in New York, and I'm very grateful that they put into consideration the fact that I'm based in New York, and New York is a very hectic city. We get 2.5 hours. So usually if you have a considerate crew scheduler, which is like the people that like make your schedules and stuff like that, or like call you when they need you, if you have a consistent one that's really nice, like they'll call you ahead of time.
Yeah.
They'll notify you with time. They won't wait till 2.5.
Yeah, but okay, so like let's say you happen to be pretty far that like you might just make it or something. Would you be able to like expense an Uber or like whatever transportation? Really?
That's all up to you. Like, you knew you were on reserve. Why, if I'm based in like New York, right? Why am I in Connecticut when I know
not so
I
much
have to
that, but like
work?
not everyone lives close to an airport.
True. That is true. That is true. But no, they're not going to expense it. It's your responsibility. Like, they taught us that. They embedded it into our heads. It is your responsibility to be in the airport 2.5 hours, or they give you your call. You have 2.5 hours to get there. Our report is usually an hour before. So, like, let's say our flight is at 3 o'clock. You have to be there at 2 o'clock in the airport, past security at 2 o'clock. And then you usually, like, report to your gate at 45 minutes prior. So, yeah, those are the timestamps.
But like, so you go through security with everybody else, like all the regular people?
No.
Or is there, okay, I'm just checking because I don't know these things.
No.
You're saying it like it's like regular TSA.
No, I'm not.
Okay.
I don't have to go through there. Whoa, that's not true. We do have something. It's called known crew member, and it's like our own security line. There's no like belt or anything. Like, you scan your IDs. You give them like your passport or your license or whatever, and it's like a computer system. If you get approved, you could just go about your day. But then there's something called random. You ever been to an airport, or like you ever known someone that like flew and they're going through TSA and they get like security checked or like random? Yeah, so we kind of have something similar to that. So whenever you get randomed, that's when you go through the peasant line. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. But that's when you go through normal security.
Okay.
Yeah, normal TSA. The only perk is you can go through TSA pre-check and you can cut the line. So if people are trying to put their bags, I could just throw mine right in front of them and be like, sorry, I have to go to work.
Yeah. Wait, another question. So let's say like, because I'm thinking about this whole like being there on time, like, because that shit's fucking crazy, the whole 2.5 hours. So like, let's say you have your own car. Is the airport at least paying for your parking?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So
at least there's that.
yeah. So the airport that I mainly work out of is Kennedy, and we do have an employee parking lot. The thing is that we have to take the air train. So like, everything you do, you have to put into consideration. Like, yes, you have 2.5 hours to get there, but then within those 2.5 hours, like, you have to put into play, like, okay, I have to drive to the airport. I have to take the air train.
That's
like, the
the
air
whole
train
2.5 hours.
Exactly. Yeah, so that's the thing about the reserve life. Like, that was one of the biggest culture shocks.
And how long does that typically last?
You know, it really depends the company. I have a friend who she works for an airline, and she could possibly be on reserve for like 5 years where she is.
5 years?
Yeah. The thing is that it's a seniority-based job.
Sheesh.
So the more seniority you have, like, the more control you have over your schedule. But that doesn't necessarily, like, the difference between like, the reserve schedule is one, and then the other one would be like holding a line, is what we call it, or like being a line holder. And that basically means that you know where you're going for the month, because our schedules are monthly. Like, they come out 1 month in advance.
Yeah.
And it's a bidding system. So if you're lucky, you know, and you have a line, you bid for what you want. You bid for the places that you want to fly for. It is a seniority-based job, so it's not guaranteed that you're always going to get what you want. But when you do have a line, when your schedule comes out, you're like, okay, I'm working the 4th to the 7th, and then I'm off from the 7th to like the 14th, and then I'm working the 15th. You know exactly where you're going for the month. Versus when you're on reserve, you're like, okay, I have a reserve block for 3 days. Like, you can go anywhere at any time, at any given moment. They can call that phone.
That feels like so Kim Possible. Like, it's like, oh, gotta go. Like,
yeah, literally.
Oh my God. I hate that. Like, I'm just thinking about it. Like, imagine being home
It's so
in the middle of
like
cooking.
the job is
the oven is on.
physically
Like,
demanding.
oh, but like, to give up 5 years.
Yeah.
Like, you can't do anything important. Like, you can't have a child. You can't have a serious relationship.
No. I wouldn't say that. Because like I said, it is seniority based, right? So yeah, it's 5 years and you still don't have a line. But at least, like, you're senior enough to hold the days off that you want. You know, like, bid for the time off that you want. They're going to give it to you because, you've been here for a while. We'll give it to you.
Yeah, but like, okay, this is just me and my hypotheticals. Like, imagine, right? You're on reserve and then you end up pregnant and you have to be at a doctor's appointment. But then it's a last minute doctor's appointment and you get this call and you got the jelly on your stomach.
Don't schedule your appointment when you know you're on reserve.
Yeah, but it's a month ahead of time, you know? The stuff, like, that's so crazy to me.
Yeah, no, you should see me scheduling like a doctor's appointment or like a dentist appointment or just anything. I'll be like, hold on. And I just whip out my phone and I'm like, okay, these are the days I'm on reserve or these are the days I'm flying. And the doctor's like, okay, can you do this day at 12 o'clock? And I'm like, no, I can do this day though. And then they're like looking at me, giving me all these funny looks. And I'm like, okay, I'm a flight attendant.
I feel lucky I didn't got you here today.
Yeah. But you know what? I say all this to say that it is a very flexible lifestyle too. Like once you like learn the game, you know, and I would say like I've been in this enough to know how to bid for my schedule and you kind of work around it. Like you get used to it and you just work around it. Like if I didn't get a day off, there's ways to, you know, like maneuver your schedule, like drop a day or switch it with someone else. And it's just like, okay, I don't want to fly these 4 days, but somebody else wants to fly those 4 days and they're off. Like you could switch around. Like the lifestyle is very flexible. Like I'm here today because when my schedule came out for January, I was like, okay, I don't want to work these amount of days. So I just dropped them into the system and now I'm here. And I picked up flying during the week because, you know, the snowstorm was going on and I just wanted to work in the midst of the chaos. I don't know why. Yeah. But I did.
When you told me that, I was like, you chose to work during this time?
Yeah.
Is there such thing as like, do you get like more pay if like the weather sucks or like any special cases?
So the flying that I did pick up this week, it was premium pay. That's the only reason I picked it up. If not, I would have 100% avoided sitting at an airport unpaid for like 9 hours the other day. But when I started flying, you know, we were getting that premium pay. So
what made it premium?
You know what? I can't tell you. I guess like they really needed the coverage. They really needed coverage, you know, because when it snows or it rains or we go into like an IROP, which is like a regular operations, and like airports just go to shit sometimes. And people are like all over the world and it's like they need people. They'll be like, okay, I need someone to cover this and we're going to offer premium pay. And so when I saw that little yellow premium pay, I was like, oh, okay, fine. I'll go to work.
Yeah. Oh, wow. And how much more rewarding is the premium pay compared to regular pay?
It's not worth it at all.
Because you're saying it like it's like, oh, it's different.
Yeah, they get you with the premium pay, but then, you know, you're flying through regular operations. So it's just like you're getting your time wasted anyways.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so back to just like regular flight attendant life. You told me before that you rarely ever work with the same crew twice. So do you ever get into a flow? Like, is that even possible when you're always working with different people?
I do not reach flow state at this job.
Oh.
I really don't. Yeah, I did tell you it is a job where you meet different people every time you work. It is never the same crew. And it is very, 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 very rare that you will fly with the same crew twice. Usually, let's say, have I flown with the same people twice since I started working at my airline? No, I haven't. I don't reach flow state. It's always meeting new people. It's always, you know, new personalities. It's always a different dynamic because sometimes you'll get lucky and you'll get an all-girl crew. That's pretty fun. Sometimes you'll get an all-guy crew and you're just the only girl. Sometimes you get a really cool flight attendant. Sometimes you get a flight attendant that you don't really get along with and you have to work 4 days with them. So, yeah. Sometimes you get pilots that, like, you ever seen, like, the Charlie Brown movie? And, like, when they're talking to you, they're just like, wah, 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 wah,
Yeah.
wah. Yeah, you get some pilots like that. Where it's just like, oh, now I got to trust you to fly this thing.
How much do you have to interact with the pilots?
I mean, not much. Once that door is closed, you don't really have to interact with them.
And what's the longest flight you've ever had to work on?
I can't say that I've worked a really long flight, but the longest flight I've been on was like 10 hours.
That's long.
Yeah. Yeah.
Jeez.
Yeah, but when I first started flying, I started in something called a regional airline, and they don't do like a lot of long flights. Yeah, so I'll fly up to like 14, 16 hours in one day, but there'll be like 4 different flights, you know, that are kind of short.
Okay, so then what's the difference between regional airlines and like, let's say like where you are now?
Okay. So the way that I explain it is like, like junior varsity and varsity, right? So varsity would be like all of the big carriers, right? Like when you go to book a plane or like a vacation, right? You look at JetBlue or you look at American, you look at Delta, you look at United. But what people don't know is that they all have like smaller carriers under them, like they're JVs.
Yeah.
And that's something that people don't know. And a lot of people that want to get started in this career don't know that you can get your foot in the door in a regional carrier. You still represent the company. Most companies, you wear the same uniform or you wear the same like scarf or, like you can tell that like, okay, this person works for Delta, but their uniform's a little different. But you could tell that they work for Delta, It's a lot of shorter routes. It's like connecting people to different like smaller airports. Like when you book a flight, I will say like there's like a little thing at the bottom of your plane or like plane ticket that says like operated by. And if it's the big carrier, it'll say like operated by American Airlines or operated by Delta Airlines. And if it's a regional carrier, some regionals it'll say like operated by Endeavor Air, operated by GoJet Airlines, or operated by SkyWest. And then you get on the plane and it's like, oh, this is a Delta airplane or this is an American airplane. So yeah, people don't know that. Like you can get your foot in the door even if it's a smaller carrier. Every airline has a regional airline and some of them have multiple. And the benefits at a regional are actually pretty good, especially if you get yourself into a good regional, like one of the good ones. Like I have a friend who he works for one of the regionals and it operates for 3 different airlines. So he gets the flight benefits on American, he gets them on Delta, and he gets them on United.
Oh.
Yeah. So it's pretty cool. A lot of people don't know that. So it's like, if you want to be a flight attendant, you don't have to wait for the big major U.S. airlines to open up. Like you can just go and look for their regional carriers and it's the same thing. It's the same company, Maybe the management is a little bit different and some of the rules are a little bit different. The plane might be a little bit smaller. You ever been on a plane that's like 2 on each side? Those are usually regional carriers.
Oh. So then as a flight attendant, what's the difference in lifestyle between like a regional airline, working at a regional airline, working at like one of the bigger ones?
So from my experience, I'll say like working at a regional carrier, you have more of a lifestyle like work-life balance. Like it's a lot easier to maneuver. I can only speak for myself really, but I really enjoy regional, the lifestyle is a lot better. It's easier to grow because the company is usually smaller. You move up in seniority quicker as well. The flights are not that long. Like, you don't have to be on a plane that's like 17 hours to Australia or something.
Yeah.
And you still get the same benefits, you still get the same benefits as the, major U.S. airline carriers because most of the major U.S. airline carriers, they own the regionals. So you get the same benefits. I will say work-life balance. And maybe in regional, like it feels more like a family.
Okay.
Like in a regional airline, you do see some of the same people twice.
Okay, I was just gonna ask that.
Yeah. Usually you do. I know that like with me, I do see some of the same people twice. But then again, it's rare because there's so many people. There's so many bases. That's another thing, Like I'm based in New York, but what about people that are based in Boston or people that are based in like Detroit and stuff like that? So that's why like the crew stuff is different because you could get a crew that's like, I'm from New York, you're from Minneapolis. She's from Atlanta and he's from Orlando.
Yeah. I wanted to ask, I've always wondered this when I get on flights. So do flight attendants, are they working every flight that they're on? And by that, I mean, like, let's say, you have to do a flight from New York to, let's just say Paris. That's the first place coming to mind. And you take one from Paris to somewhere in the Caribbean. You take one from there to, let's say, back to California. Are you working the last flight that goes back to New York? Or are you just a passenger on that one?
Well, it depends your sequence. So they're called like pairings. If they give you a pairing that's from New York to Paris and then work back, that's crazy. You should have at least, like you have a layover. Definitely have a layover. Usually if you fly to one place, you're probably going to work the flight going out. That's usually how it works. But there's like alternate ways too. Like if you ever see a flight attendant sitting in an airplane and it looks like it's a passenger, usually they are working, but it's something called a deadhead, which a deadhead basically means like they're repositioning you to another place, either to start work or to end work. So it could be that like, I flew from New York to North Carolina, and now I'm flying from North Carolina back to New York, but I'm sitting down as a passenger. It could just be that they're deadheading me or repositioning me back to New York. It really just depends your sequence. Everyone's schedule's different. That's another thing. Everyone's schedule's different. No day is the same day. Ever. No day is the same day.
See, I don't like that because that's just like, I feel like that's just like wasted time. Like I couldn't imagine being on a plane as a passenger and being like, I could be making money right now and I'm not. But, you know, you also need sleep and, you know, all that stuff.
Yeah.
Damn.
Yeah, I mean, you need your legal rest, and you're gonna want your rest after working. You're gonna want your rest. You're gonna want to get off that airplane and go to your hotel and take a nap after being on an airplane all day, every day.
How much sleep do you typically get, like, on a regular basis?
It really depends. So our legal rest, like I said, it's 10 hours. You have to have 10 hours of legal rest if you're working, right? So if you get to a hotel, I'm not going to say that every time I get to a hotel, it's only for 10 hours that I get to sleep or like rest. There are layovers that are pretty long. But that's the legal way, is 10 hours. When I'm flying, I try to get as much sleep. I mean, it depends. Like I said, like no day is the same. So there could be a day that like I started at 6 a.m. and I'm done by 11 a.m. and like I can go back to sleep, right? Or there's a day where it's like we started at 9 a.m. but we're not finishing until 10 p.m. and then the next day we start at 4 in the afternoon. So your sleep schedule is very inconsistent. Very, very, very inconsistent. When I'm home, I can't lie. Like when I'm home and I don't have to fly, my grandma and my mom are coming into my rooms to be like, yo, are you awake? Are you alive? Like, because I'm trying to catch up on sleep. Like, it's exhausting being on that metal tube, whether if it's one flight or it's 4. It's exhausting. It really is.
I mean, I can't even handle just a single flight. Like, I don't take flights that are longer than 6 hours because I took a flight to Cali one time and I had the craziest headache. And I realized it was only because of how long it was. Because any flight shorter, I'm fine. Yeah. I'm just like, I couldn't imagine just being in the air all that time. And then it's like, I don't know. I feel like I just need some kind of stimulation. Like just seeing like just bland colors and just,
Yeah, I recommend that if you're going to take a long flight, just try and sleep. Honestly, just try and sleep. I think it's a lot easier to be on the flight attendant side versus the passenger side. Because at least with us, like we're up and working and moving, that like the time goes by different for us.
Are you kept busy?
Usually people keep us on our toes. You know, it depends the route.
Would you prefer that people are like a pain in the ass and constantly giving you things to do, or that like everyone would just like
I think it really just depends the day that I'm having, honestly. If I'm having a long day and it's like that button keeps going off and it's just like, oh my goodness, like what do you want now? But it really doesn't bother me. I can't say that it bothers me. You know, I like to interact with people. I'm a big people person. I love to people watch. I love to talk to people. I love going up and down that aisle with my beverage cart. Like, I will give you 5 snacks. I will give you 5 snacks. I am that flight attendant. I promise. Do not be afraid to ask for us for like extra snacks. Like, we will give them to you. Yeah. I can't say we. I will give them to you. I know some people do, some people don't. But usually when you're working, the time goes by faster. And I can say that from experience because I've been on long flights where I'm sitting down and I'm just like looking at the little map and I'm just like, oh my God.
And you're trying to stretch.
We're not even halfway there. Yeah.
Catching cramps.
It is a lot better. Like, you know, you have people to talk to, you know, your crew members, you could talk to them. You can walk up and down the aisle if you need a stretch, you know. It looks like I'm doing something, right? It looks like I'm working, but I really just need to go from one end to the other because, you know, I'm getting a little tired and stuff like that. There's days where I'd rather be the passenger. There's days that I'd rather be the flight attendant.
Got it. Okay. So, have you ever wished just in general that you had more consistency in life, or have you adjusted enough to this new lifestyle that you're like, you know what, I'm okay with this?
Yes, I have. And then I guess I've adjusted to it. But in the beginning, I did feel like a slave to the company. I'm just like, I wish like when I first started off, like I was like, I can't wait to get a line. I can't wait to get a line. Like I can't wait to, like know what's going on in my life.
Yeah.
Like I need to know what's going on in my life. Like I like to plan things out. Like if I want to go out, I want to do something, or like I want to go on a vacation. Like I need to know if I can do those things. I feel like everyone has that in the beginning where it's just like, oh my gosh, I have no control over my life. But again, like I said, it's a lifestyle. So I kind of have gotten used to it where it's like, okay, I know that I'm on reserve these days. These are the
They
days.
literally just taking life month by month.
Yeah, you take it month by month. You really do. And you know what? I don't think that it's bad to a certain extent because like, take it one day at a time, Take it one day at a time. Like, why are you rushing? Why are you trying to figure out what tomorrow brings? Like, live in today. And I really like that. I really like that about the job, honestly. Like, I don't know. I feel like life is so fast paced. And in the industry, it is really fast paced. I feel like you're always moving, you're always working, you're always somewhere else, you're always in a different time zone. But you also appreciate like day by day.
Yeah.
Like,
Okay, so this is something that you explained to me when we first spoke. The whole only getting paid once the plane door closes.
Yes.
What do you mean?
Okay, this is another hot take that people don't know about us. Most carriers, I can speak for the ones that I've worked for, you do not get paid until that door is shut. Or some carriers until the brakes are released. So let's walk through a day, right?
Yeah.
Erica's going on vacation and Erica gets to the airport. I get to the airport at the same time as you, right? Or maybe, a little bit right after you get there, and I go through my own security. You go through security. You're chilling. You're excited to get on your plane. All of this, I'm working, right? These are all the behind the scenes, getting to the airport, getting to the lot, taking the air train, getting through security, and sometimes if you get random, getting through security is a job in itself, TSA are not nice.
Yeah.
So all of this that's going on, and then you get on the plane, and if you're, working, like the A position or the front position, your first class passengers, they want their pre-departure beverages, they want their coats hung, our announcements are being made and all of that, and that door's open, and it's just like, I'm doing so much. I'm working. I'm actually working,
Yeah.
Anything can happen while we're on the ground with the door open, anything can happen. Anything safety related can happen where I need to, kick in and actually do my job, like I was saying earlier. And I'm working and I'm not getting paid for it.
That's nuts.
Yeah.
That is so crazy.
Yeah, I can't speak for every airline, but there are many airlines that they do not offer boarding pay. It's what it's called. You don't get paid until that flight door is closed, and that's when your block starts, and everything after that is history. But once you get on the ground and that door opens, and I have to say, oh, have a good one. Thank you for flying with us. Bye. Take care. 100 times, like that's unpaid again.
So how does constantly being tired or having the odd schedule affect how you show up as a person? Like, how you show up for your friends, for your family? Like, how does it impact that?
Okay. I'll say in the beginning, like it was kind of hard to be myself, and I was always tired, and my mom is probably gonna watch this, like forgive me, like there are days where I'm like so tired where it's like my attitude becomes unbearable because it is such a physically demanding job where I feel like sometimes I'm just like, oh, I do not feel like myself, and it's hard to be there for like my friends and stuff like that too, because it's just like my friends have their own lives, they all go through things too, and like I know that some of my friends look to me and trust me and like to vent to me, and sometimes I'm just like, I don't want to hear it, like you don't know what I just went through.
Yeah.
You don't know that I just sat here 14 hours unpaid, and like my company doesn't even know that I'm sitting here, so it was hard in the beginning, and my mom always says like it's no one else's fault, like you chose this, you picked this, and sometimes I don't want to hear
like,
that.
It's by the same time, it's like, okay, then you should understand that this is just my life.
Yeah,
then.
exactly.
Yeah.
Like, no, I don't want to hear her saying that, and like, can you sympathize with me a little bit? But I can't even lie. There has been days where I'm like, I am so unbearably annoying. Like, my attitude is annoying. Like, my eating schedule sucks. My sleep schedule sucks. Like, I'm tired. Like I don't want to be, or there's days where it's like I don't want to be home. Like I want to be working. I want to be in the air. I want to be somewhere else. Like I want to use my benefits. So my life is very like up and down. It really is. Not a lot of consistency, but there's some consistency. Like, it's weird. And then I'll say like health wise, it's kind of hard to show up sometimes. Especially like being on reserve, you know, I would go to the gym and then sometimes I would get a call and it's like, okay, I got to drop my workout. And then the amount of hours that I work in a day, like one thing, you know, that's another like shock to people is like we don't get like a paid lunch break or like even a lunch break in general. Like sometimes if I am so hungry, like I'm snacking on airplane snacks or like I have something in my lunchbox and it's like, I'm just going to eat it cold over this garbage can hiding from the rest of the people on the plane.
Yeah.
You know, so people aren't like, what's she eating? You know, just staring at you. Cause you know, sometimes you have like your jump seat is like right in front of people, and, you know, and people are just sitting there watching you.
Last thing you need is a complaint when that email goes out like, oh, how was your flight? Actually, my flight attendant was eating. Like,
Right, she was stuffing her face. I'm just like, damn, you have 5 Biscoffs. Like,
I gladly gave you.
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
Cut me some slack.
Leave me alone. Yeah. So it is pretty hard to be, you know, a normal person and live a normal life. And, you know, like a lot of the aspects of my life are amazing and some of them kind of suck, you know? I will say like health wise, it was pretty hard too in the beginning, like to have a consistent schedule. I'm a super, super, super picky eater. Like,
Same.
I am so picky. I am so picky. Like, I am a chicken tenders and a steakhouse kind of girl.
Yeah.
I am really picky. So it's just like, I try to create these healthy habits for myself. And then it's just like, okay, now I'm eating a sweet potato and chicken and it's cold and I am nowhere near a microwave. I am 35,000 feet in the air. And I'm hungry and I'm trying to have better habits. I'm trying to be disciplined.
It's suffocating.
And then you have like these cookies and these sandwiches and, you know, like all of this processed stuff on the plane where it's just like, I'd rather have that instead of like this cold food, which even if it's cold, like it's definitely better for me. Like it's what I should be eating. It really comes down to like discipline. And I struggle with that sometimes. Sometimes, you know, I do reach a flow state and I'm just like, okay, you know, I have a really good trip, you know, really good layovers. Like I'm going to go to the gym. I'm going to go for a walk. But then there's days where it's like I come into a city and it's like 10 o'clock at night, 3 flights later. And the next morning we're leaving like at 9 in the morning. And it's just like, I'm so tired. Like,
you just feel like a wasted day.
I don't want to go to the gym. Like I'm exhausted. So it is pretty hard to have like a consistent, you know, eating schedule, sleeping schedule, you know, but there are people that do it. And I have been in a point, you know, where I'm flying, where I have been able to, you know, have discipline and be consistent and stuff like that. And there are flight attendants that are like, and I give them so much credit that it's like, they'll get, you know, somewhere after working 4 legs or like 4 flights. And they're like, I'm going to go work out. And it's just like, there's some of them that are just like, I'm exhausted. Like, I don't know how you're doing it. Or, you know, like, you know, ClassPass, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Shout out ClassPass. It's great. You know, that's an advantage that, you know, some of us have, you know, being able to pay for ClassPass and you're in a different city and it's just like, you could take advantage of that. You can go somewhere and, you know, work out. So that's a great perk. And it really is what you make of it, honestly. Yeah. Like, I can't say that, like, it's impossible, because it is possible to have, you know, a good, healthy lifestyle. You just got to choose it. You got to want it. But it's hard. It's hard because it's a physically demanding job. It is a mentally draining job. And, you know, it's constant, like constant change, you know, like I could be going from New York to North Carolina to Chicago in one day. And that's what I think. And then instead of Chicago, I end up in Florida. You know, like it's always changing. So it is kind of hard. In the beginning is where it's the hardest, I would say. When you first start off, you know, it takes a lot to get used to. And then there's like places that you go where you can't bring food, right? Like international places. So it's like, okay, you know, I finally reached flow state. Like I'm doing good. You know, I'm getting all my macros in. I'm going to the gym 4 times a week. I'm eating good. And then I get to like Canada and it's like, okay, now I have to throw away all my food. And it's just like, well, I worked all day. I'm hungry. great, I guess I'll order something on DoorDash. And, you know, sometimes late at night, like your only options are like the bad stuff.
Yeah.
So,
damn. See, I don't know how you do it because it sounds like so much. Sounds like so much pressure. It's so demanding because like even me, like I take a day off of work the day after a vacation just because the flight takes a toll on me. Like I get home and I'm just like, all right, I need to sleep, I need to eat. And I'm like struggling to shower because I'm just like, I'm all like crampy and stuff. And I really want to sleep. And even if I did sleep on the plane, like then the Uber is just annoying and like waiting for the Uber is annoying. And then that's just the traffic after.
Travel is exhausting.
Yeah,
travel is exhausting. You know what? When you travel for free or, you know, like with our benefits, it is a really big perk. It is an amazing perk because when you travel, usually the most expensive part is your flight, right?
Yeah.
Most times it is your flight. So I'm super grateful for the benefits that like our job provides. But like, let's say like my best friend, right? She's like that. Like, you know, I had her on my flight benefits and she went to Puerto Rico once and, you know, she wanted to come home the next day and she didn't get on the first flight and she's like exhausted and nagging and like she just like ended up buying a flight home because it's just like people don't like that. They don't like it. It is exhausting. Like I get it. It is exhausting. It is uncomfortable like on that little seat for, you know, however many amount of hours. Yeah, like going through TSA or even like you said, waiting for your Uber, like getting picked up, lugging your luggage around. Like it is really exhausting. I completely understand it. But I don't know. For me, it's a little different when it is your life. You know, when it is what you do almost every day of the week.
Yeah.
You kind of get used to it. I don't think I'll ever get used to it because oh my gosh, airports are exhausting. But you know, it's your life.
Yeah. I mean, it's what you chose. It's like you said before. It's like, you know, you wouldn't do it if it didn't work for you to some capacity. Okay, so now to the part that maybe people are waiting for. I don't know. How much is true about the flight attendant stereotypes? And you could dig into as many as you want. I'm not pushing.
Oh, what do you want to know? What are the stereotypes? Let's see.
I just... I'm like, there's no easy way to say this.
What do you want to know? Do we sleep with pilots?
And just the whole, like, just even sleeping around in general. Just like, oh, you found me, here I am, take me. Like,
okay, so that's a big one. You know, a lot of people, they have a lot to say about that, right? Because from the outside looking in, right? And I was talking about this with someone the other day, like, it looks like the job sets you up for success and failure, right? You go to a different city. No one knows who you're on the plane with, right? Or who you met in the airport. Or like, you know, no one knows, right? About your day. Just, you know that I'm flying from here to here and I take off at this time and I land at this time, right? You get to your hotel and it's just like, people think like, oh, you're in a hotel like for free. You get a free night at a hotel. And it's just like, who are you bringing into that hotel room and stuff like that? And it's just like people's minds wonder too much. Like they wonder way too much.
Little
and it's
freaks.
just like, yeah, exactly. Yeah. But I do know that, you know, the job gets a little lonely and we have free will and we have a free hotel room. And stuff happens, you know, like I've heard lots of stories and stuff happens and like I don't know exactly what company it is, but I do know that there's a company that separates their pilots and their flight attendants because of, you know, prior incidents. And, you know, or there's times where it's like, or I was telling you before, like our information is very confidential too.
Yeah.
You know, like wherever we go, it cannot be plastered, you know, on the internet. Usually, like when I go somewhere, I wait till I leave to post that I was there, you know, because safety and security, that's one of the biggest things in that industry. So there is a company that does separate their flight attendants and pilots because of, you know, wives or husbands or girlfriends or wags or etc. Like they are plastering where we're staying on the internet or popping up to where we are to like allegedly, you know, catch their partner doing something, you know, like it does cause a
It's
lot
so
of
messy.
like mental, what's the word I'm trying to say? Like being away from your partner or just like being away from your family in general, like it causes people to kind of go a little crazy. Like, they start thinking the worst of the worst.
Yeah.
It's like I got to my hotel room and I did pass out right away. Like with my uniform and makeup on, it has happened. Like I'm so tired. And then people are like, oh, like she's not answering. Like what could she be doing? Or like what could he be doing? Or it's just like, and then even like within the company, like you can't ever see, like a flight attendant talking to a pilot and people are not going to be like, what's going on there?
Yeah.
So I'm not going to deny the stereotypes. Because I have heard some stories. I can't say that I have any of my own, but whatever you think of us, keep thinking it. That's all I can say is whatever you think flight attendants are doing, keep thinking that we're doing that. If it helps you sleep at night, like just keep thinking about it.
Because you wouldn't be half wrong.
Exactly, you wouldn't be half wrong, but you're not half right either.
Yeah.
You're not half right either. But sometimes crew members fall in love with each other. You spend so much damn time together, even if it's 4 days, you're spending 24 hours for those 4 days.
Though, because like if you don't see the same crew members for a long time, that it's like, okay, now we both have different schedules.
Yeah, but you know what it is? When you do have like, let's say 4 days with the same crew, right? You're working this pairing or this trip for 4 days. You're all you have for 4 days. So it's like, how easy is it to grow a connection, within 4 days when this is all you have,
Yeah.
Like you're sitting down, you're talking to each other, you're with each other from the morning. They're the first people you say good morning to, and they're the last people you say good night to, when you go to your hotel rooms at night and you see them in the morning. And then we have like something called like jump seat confessions where it's like this. I've never met you before. Well, I have met you before.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
But I'm saying like, yeah, you're sitting here with someone that, you don't even know from a hole in the wall. And it's just like by the end of 4 days, like you've hit it off and like, it's like, okay, well, it's up to you guys.
Forever.
Yeah,
or
literally. It's up to you guys to be like, do you want to work again together? Because, there are ways that like you can, pick up the same trip or like work together and stuff like that. But or it's just like, nice flying with you. Thank you. Thank you for letting me cry.
I had a good time.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for staying in the jacuzzi with me, or like, thanks for going on the walk. Thanks for going to get breakfast with me, And, I'll see you in 3 years, or I'll see you in the crew room, or I'll see you when we're exchanging airplanes,
It sounds so like rom-com-y and bittersweet.
Yeah,
like,
it really is bittersweet. Like there are some people that I've flown with and it's just like after 2 days or it's just like, oh my goodness, like I love you. And I'm like, I love you too. And it's like, I love flying with her. And I'm like, I love flying with her too. And like, despite, what they say about like flight attendants and pilots and like whatever, how I think of it is like, we're a team and we're all we have for like, even if we're together for one flight or we're together for 4 or 5 days, so just make the best of it, have fun, explore, new cities together, have breakfast with each other, work out together. Like, I don't think there's anything wrong with that. These are the people that you're working with. Unless you want to take it somewhere else, like, keep it professional. You're working at the end of the day.
Yeah, I think it just comes down to like whether or not you're built for that lifestyle. Because some people, they'll hear everything you're saying, they're like, why would I do that? It's like, okay, then maybe you shouldn't be a flight attendant. Like, it's that easy.
Exactly. Or it's just like, if you are with someone and they are, a flight attendant or a pilot, like, I understand where it could be hard to trust, but it's just like, damn, if you can't trust me being away from home for 2 nights, then why are we even together?
Yeah, seriously. Okay, so how has this job affected your dating and relationships and love life and all that?
Well, honestly, I mean, I'm not really big on the relationship stuff. If I'm being honest, like, I probably had like one real boyfriend in my life. And I can't even count that, actually. I don't know. Like, I'm not big in the dating scene.
Yeah.
That's just me. But it is pretty hard to talk to people or, get to know someone when I am a flight attendant because a lot of people, they want to see you, right? They want to see you often and you're not around often, or they want, or, like people work 9 to 5s, right? Most of the men that I've ever interacted with, they work a 9 to 5, or, they work a job where it's like Monday through Friday, they're off Saturday, Sunday. And it's just like, okay, I work Wednesday through Sunday. I'm not off when you're off. So, or it's just like I tell someone like, I'm kind of interested in them, and it's like, oh yeah, I'm a flight attendant, and it's automatically like, oh, like where are you flying me to, or like put me on your benefits, and it's just like automatic turn off. Like I'm more than Biscoff cookies and free flights.
Yeah.
I am. So I'm not big like in the dating game, and I haven't been in the dating scene for a while, but I will say like there was someone that, I was really close with them. I really did like them, had a lot of love for them, and I feel like once I became a flight attendant, like it was just so hard for them to accept the fact that I was away.
Yeah.
And someone that like, like I had a lot of love for that person, and it's just like every time like I was away and I would be like, oh, like what are you doing? It's like, oh, I'm going here with this person. I'm like, I've never heard this person's name before a day in my life. It's just
and
like,
really they're just trying to tit for tat because you going here and there, and it's like, yeah, for my job.
Yeah,
like,
it's just like, yeah, like are you trying to make me feel bad that So it is kind of hard. It is definitely hard.
Have you seen any situations where it's doable, where like people have made it work?
Yeah. I've seen a lot of them. Like there's so many flight attendants that are married with children, and or that they do have partners, and their partners support them, because again, like we don't get paid that much, or like we don't get paid until the door closes. Like it's good to have that support system.
Yeah.
And there's some partners that where it's like, I can't wait to find that kind of person where it's like, oh, my girl is a flight attendant, like bomb, like we could go on vacation, like I love this for her, like people don't think like that. Like people, I feel like nowadays, the dating game kind of sucks. That's one. But people don't see the positive in things,
Yeah, you bring up something that I've thought about recently, where it's like I feel like everyone thinks that there's a standard for how somebody should be in a relationship, and it's more about like people not thinking about compatibility, and how sometimes what it really means is that some things work for other people, and it sounds so simple, like how some things work for you and some things might not work for another, and that's just the way it is. And people just have this idea that, like, because I think about like friends giving advice to one another who would be like, oh, like you should never date a flight attendant. But it's like, what if that is the perfect type of person for you?
Right.
Let's say you're the type where you don't have the time yourself to see your partner like that, and you only have little spurts of time and blah blah blah, just all the things that make being with a flight attendant like ideal. It's like, okay, then think about that. I'm not saying it's like a job application where it's like, start dating flight attendants specifically.
Yeah, no, it really,
but it's just, you never know.
Yeah, no, everyone's lives are so different. And it does work for some people. Like it does work for some people. I have, many friends that are with people and it works.
Yeah.
And then I have people that it's just like, it's so hard for them to find a genuine connection, and I can't really say that I've been looking for the last, couple of years. And my mom is like, when are you going to get a boyfriend? Let me hook you up with a fireman. Let me this, let me that. And I'm just like, Mom, please relax. Like when the time comes, the time comes. So I don't have a lot to say about that because I'm not really much in the dating game, but I do know that like when I have a partner, I hope that they understand that it's just like, this is what I love to do. I love my job, and it's just like no one can belittle what I do either. Like call it a pink collar job, call me a sky bartender or whatever, or like think that I'm in a hotel doing this, that, and the third. I love what I do. I love connecting with people. I love visiting, different cities. And I hope that like when I do find someone, like, they understand that.
Yeah, the biggest thing is just like respect, and then them feeling secure enough in themselves to not lash out for like the silliest reasons.
Yeah. Like a lot of people are really insecure, and it's like I can't have someone insecure in my life because like,
yeah,
I can up and bounce whenever I want.
Literally, like
whenever I want.
Okay, so I have some questions from like the passenger POV. This is one question, you already touched on it, but I just want to clear the air for anybody who was wondering. Is it okay to ask for more pretzels?
Yes. Yes, it is 100% okay. And I'll explain it like this. Like, we get a lot of catering sometimes. If it's a good caterer, we get a lot of catering. And we have bags of Biscoffs, bags of chips. Like, the plane ride could be but so short or but so long. And if you ask me for like 2 bags of chips or like 2 cookies, why am I going to say no? It's not coming out of my paycheck. It's not coming out of my paycheck. Like, yeah, do not be afraid to ask us for more snacks. Some flight attendants will tell you like, oh, they need to get through the whole cabin first. And sometimes that is true, Sometimes that is true. You got to make sure that there's enough for everyone. But me personally, I will give you 2 snacks. If, you never know, this is one thing, like you never know if this is someone's first meal. right? Or you never know if like someone was running to get to the flight, almost missed it, and they didn't have, you know, time to sit down and have a snack.
Yeah.
You know, or like grab a coffee or, you know, get their own airplane snacks. Or like moms with kids, like the more snacks, the more quiet they are, you know?
No, for real.
So yeah, do not be afraid to ask. Like my friends will say the same thing because it's just like I'll have like a Biscoff cookie in my purse or something and I'll give it to them and you know the conversation will spark like, oh, like I'm always afraid, and I'm like, do not be afraid, and they're like, really? And I'm like, yes. I'm like, just ask. Like, you know, a lot of us are really nice, really nice. You know, if you're doing this job, that means that the company saw some sort of like customer centric, like emotional intelligence, like good with people kind of, you know, personality traits in you. That's like, you have to be a nice person to do this job.
Yeah.
You know, some people could flip the switch and just, you know, be a good person.
Like,
no, some people could be like a good person just to get the job. And then once they're out on the job, it's like, oof, I already knew. But no, do not be afraid to ask for snacks. If you ever get me on your plane, I will give you as many snacks as you want, I promise.
How do you feel about people who get up early, like from their seat, like the plane just landed, all the buckles start unbuckling, and that person who's in row like 27 stands up?
Well, first of all, when the plane lands, do not unbuckle your seatbelt until you are at the gate, because that is a safety precaution right there. Okay, that is a safety precaution.
Just like the announcement. That's crazy.
Like,
straight work
until
mode.
we arrive at the gate, your seatbelt must be securely fastened. But I honestly, like, I think it's comical at this point. Like, in the beginning, I'm just like, oh my God, here we go. Row 39, row 20, getting up. Now it's comical to me because now I'm standing here, you're standing here, right? Like, if I'm ever working the back of the airplane and you're the first one up, and it's just like, now we're looking at each other like, where are you going?
Yeah.
You know, I think it's, I honestly, like, I just think it's funny at this point. Like, I'm not mad about it. Like, I don't know where you're going, you know?
I still get fired up at
When
people
people don't understand, like, when the little ding goes off, right? That's when you're supposed to take your seatbelt off. You can start standing up, and you know, sometimes people just want to stretch. I get it, you know. But when the door opens, the jet bridge has to be connected. The gate agent has to give the clearance to get off the plane. You know, like, there's things that have to. Everything is a phase. There's a phase of, there's a phase of flight. Everything is a different phase. You know, there's always something, that happens before something else happens. So it's like, keep getting up. Keep getting up. My favorite is the ones that are like, ding, and then they're up, and it's just like they're all the way in the back and they make it to the front before anybody else could get up. I don't know what kind of stamina you have.
I always have like the feeling that I'd be able to do that. I'm like, okay, if I stand up and I pull my carry-on down really fast, I could just bolt it. And every time I'm like, no, I'm gonna look so dumb, and I'm not gonna risk tripping. I'm not gonna risk the embarrassment. I'm just like, no. I feel like airports and airplanes are just places where like social anxiety shine. You know, like, because everything is on a time crunch. Like it's like the feeling you have when you pay for something in cash and they give you the change. You got to put it back in your wallet, but you also have to grab your stuff and leave.
Yeah,
it's that times like 100 the whole time you're at the airport.
Yeah.
And that's why it's so like mentally exhausting for me to even think about it.
It's so funny to watch. That's why I say, like, I don't really get mad at stuff like that. I think it's comical at this point. I really think it's funny. Like, where are you going? Where are you going? From back here, you're not going to make it up there.
I mean, it goes back to what you said. Like, adults just become like toddlers and
they
children.
They really do. They become like children, yeah.
We said, wait, and they're like, but I don't want to. I don't want to.
I want to go. I want to go. I want to go.
I'll jump out this fucking window.
My thing that kills me too is, like, I'm a very curious person. So we have like our work devices, and you can always see if someone is connecting somewhere. And mainly it's because, like, you want to make sure they could make their connection, right? You want to make sure people, get to where they're going on time. So I'm always curious. I'm like, okay, we have a few connections on board. But it's like, if we're flying from one place to New York, and like New York is your final destination, why are you the first one up? If you have a connection or you have a tight connection, people try to get up, move to the front of the airplane. That's completely understandable. Some people actually let us know, like, hey, I'm going here and I only have about this amount of time. We have two responses. One is like, you booked that. Like, you knew you only had that amount of time. What am I supposed to do? Two, it's like, okay, our actual, what we're actually supposed to do, like, yeah, we'll make an announcement, if anyone has a tight connection, or, stay seated if this is your final destination, to let other people off the plane. There's stuff that we can do. One thing that we cannot do is hold another plane for you. People be like, oh, I'm going here in my flight. Like, can you just call them and let them know? Like, I don't know who's working that flight, okay? I don't know the flight attendant. I don't know the gate agent. Like, I don't know how far away we are from the gate.
They think that everything's a lot more connected than it is. And it's like, really every
not.
plane is its own individual unit.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. It's so funny when people ask me like, oh, can you like ask them to like wait for me because I'm coming? I'm like, I don't know who I'm supposed to ask. Like, who do you want me to ask? Yeah. We are not as connected as people think. And it's funny too, because like I'll be in an airport, and when you're in uniform, you're automatically on a hot seat. So it's like people will come up to you and they'll be like, oh, do you know where gate da-da-da-da is? And I'm like, well, this is my first time in Cincinnati. I have no clue where the gate is.
Yeah, it's like, read the sign.
Yeah, I've never been to this airport before. And it comes to a shock to a lot of people. They're like, wait, you don't know? I'm like, no, I don't know. I'm sorry. This is my first time here. If it's your first time here, it's my first time here too as well, That's yeah.
Damn. So do you have any more like do's and don'ts for passengers on flights? Like, what's something that you love when people do, and what's something that you're like, oh my God, you need to not? Like,
well, there's some do's that I love. I love when people bring us gifts. I think that's so nice. People don't ever have to do that. We don't ever expect people to do that. But it's really, really sweet when people think of us. I love that. Do not touch us. You'd be surprised. Like, I've had people tug on my dress, or like pull on my dress has like belt strap, like pull on it to get my attention.
Oh.
Yeah, don't touch us. You don't want us to touch you either, right? That's a big one for us. Like, we don't like getting touched.
Yuck.
Especially because you're seated. I'm walking. When you reach for me, where you're reaching is just
this full groin.
Yeah, don't do that. Do not go to the bathroom. This is funny because a lot of flight attendants say this. Do not go to the bathroom without your shoes on.
Why do people?
Yeah, people do that. People do that. Yeah. Do not go to the bathroom without your shoes on. Although, like, airplanes do get cleaned.
I could say
when
something.
You're 35,000 feet in the air and the plane jumps a little bit and you're peeing, that is not water on the floor.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, my dog has fallen shitted on the floor of the airplane bathroom.
Really?
So like,
yeah,
he was a mess. It was situation. He puked in his carrier bag, so I had to take him out of the carrier bag, and he was shitting while I was cleaning the bag. It was a whole mess. And you saying that just now, I'm just like, yeah, there was and you wouldn't know. It was such a calm situation. Like, I was just like, asked the flight attendant, I was like, hey, give me a garbage bag, because I know it's like, I got scared because I didn't want a situation where they had to like land the plane because there was just puke out and poop and all this stuff. I was like, I don't want this to be considered.
Yeah, those diversions are the worst.
Yeah. I was like, I don't need to be that person. We got somewhere to be. We got to be in Miami. Like, let's get it together.
Yeah. My mom almost caused a diversion once.
Really? Why?
Yeah.
How?
So we were going to Mexico, and my mom, she does not like to fly, which I wish she did, because then we would go on way more vacations. But she doesn't really like to fly. And usually when we fly, she'll take like a sleeping pill, or like a sleeping gummy or something like that. And Mexico is kind of long. It's like almost 5 hours and some change and stuff like that. So we're going to Mexico. It's her birthday. I'm excited, and my mom loves the window seat, and I'm like, so do I like the window seat too.
I prefer the aisle.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
I'm a window girl. I'm paying for this. Let me book 2 window seats, right? This was before I was a flight attendant. I was still in college. So I get 2 window seats. That's why I say God works in a mysterious way, because my mom was supposed to sit in front of me. But when we got on the plane, someone was sitting there, and I was okay, or sitting behind me. Something like that. Someone was in her seat. So I'm like, okay, I'll take your seat as long as it's a window seat. So it happened to be the seat in front of my mom. And I turned to my mom to ask her, because this was before I was a flight attendant. So I was kind of timid to be like, oh, I was flying JetBlue. I was like, oh, can I have like more platano chips or whatever? So I turned to my mom because I knew she wasn't going to eat her snack.
Yeah.
And my mom was just like cocking her head back and forth. And I'm just like, she looks odd. And she's like super pale, like super white. And I'm like, And then she's out cold. Like, she's trying to tell me that she doesn't feel well. She passes out. And long story short, she was okay. I guess it was the medication. But the flight attendant came up to us and was like, okay, so the route we were taking, we were going down from New York and then we were going to cross over. Like once we got to like Miami area, we're going to cross over the water. And the pilot had said to the flight attendant, like, we're about to cross water. Like, are we landing? Like the closest airports are Fort Lauderdale, Miami. And I'm like, no, we are going to Mexico. She will be okay.
Yeah.
She will be okay. But yeah, like they're trained for safety. One thing I will say is like, do not be mean to us, you know, because we're here to help you. You know, God forbid something was to go wrong.
Yeah.
You know, that's a don't. Like, don't be mean to us, you know, and don't assume on an airplane. That's one thing people assume, like assume that we know everything. 90% of the time, we are finding out stuff the minute that passengers are finding it out, or maybe like a minute before. You know, like if our flight is delayed, I'm sitting on my jump seat, brace position, I'm ready to go. And it's just like maybe a passenger got a notification that their flight was delayed. Or like our flight was delayed for some reason that we can't take off. The pilot, the door is closed, right? So it's like they probably found out. And it's like, they're like, okay, like what are we going to do now? They're figuring it out before they give us a call to be like, hey, you know, we're going to sit on the tarmac for this amount of time. And it's just like, I just found it out. I don't understand why you're screaming at me. Like, I know you have somewhere to be, you know, trust me, I don't want to be sitting here, you know, either, you know, especially like if the door is open or something like that. Like people don't understand, like we find things out maybe minutes before they find it out too, you know? So, or it's like if something is wrong, like you ever been on a plane and it's like, there's a maintenance issue and stuff like that. And it's just like, when is it going to be over? It's like, I don't know, they're working on it. And, you know, when they come up to tell us, then the first people we're going to tell is you. Yeah. You know, people just like think like
you're not the maintenance crew. It's like you have an earpiece that's always like, all right, 10 more minutes. Like
I'm just a flight attendant, you know? I'm here for your safety. That's mainly what I'm here for, your safety. I'm going to give you the best flight experience that you could ever, you know, imagine. I like to say that I'm a great flight attendant, you know? I like to make experiences memorable. I like to have people on my plane, you know, to interact with, to talk to. And I would say like that pulls from my curiosity. Like I'm very curious. Like, why are you going here? You know, like why are you going here? Where are you going? What are you doing there? You know, are you from here? Like I love talking to people. I love it. Like it's just part of my personality. I'm a big people person. But yeah, I would say back to the do's and don'ts. Let's see. I don't think I have any more.
I think that was a good set though.
Yeah.
Okay, so now to close out, what, if anything, do you wish that more people understood about flight attendants? If they left this like with some kind of new information or just something that like came first to mind every time they got on a plane or off a plane or whatever, what is it that you want them to know about you guys?
Understand that we are primarily there for your safety. You know, we will give you an amazing, you know, flight experience. If you're good to us, we're even better to you, you know? But know that we are there for your safety. Know that it took us ages, you know, to have those wings on our chest, you know? Our main priority is people's safety. When you look at a flight attendant and you say to me, do your job, you do not want us to do our jobs. And I don't want to scare anybody, you know, or anyone, because, you know, travel is so much fun. There's so much reward in traveling, you know, and sometimes people are not traveling, you know, for leisure, you know, you never know where a person is going. Yeah. But we are there primarily for your safety. Please know that it took a lot to get where we are. Our days are long, you know, our days are constantly changing. You know, sometimes we're having really hard days, but we have to put all of that in the back burner, you know, to be our best selves for you and, you know, and to be there just in case something goes wrong. So please know that it took a lot for us to get here. And how do I say this? Know that, yeah, we are primarily there for your safety. We will make your experience memorable. Just work with us, you know? And yeah, I think that's pretty much it. I mean, you know,
just be nice.
Be people. Nice. Be nice. Don't be afraid to ask for snacks because we will give them to you. Yes. And, you know, keep making us laugh because we love to see people running through the airport. We love to hear the dad jokes, getting on a plane that's 25 minutes and you're ordering a steak.
Oh my
Sitting in
God.
first class when all you're getting is the snack from the snack basket. Like we love that stuff. We really do. We love when people, make our day, because we interact with so many people in one day, and not always, those interactions are not always the best.
Yeah.
So we love when people, are good to us. Yeah, we'll be good to you if you're good to us.
Okay, well, thanks for coming on.
Thanks for having me.
No, I feel like I learned so much. Like, I don't think I've ever been close enough to a flight attendant to be able to ask like this thorough of questions, or at least even having like an info session with one, because I'm like, why would I do that? But I don't know. I thought this was cool.
Our lives are interesting. Our lives are really interesting.
Look out for your flight attendant friends if you have any.
Yeah, please check on us.
Yes.
Check on us.
Okay, well, thank you guys for listening. Thank you guys for watching. Please like, comment, and subscribe, or give this episode 5 stars if you're viewing or listening platform allows for you to do so. My words just completely left me. I'm trying to think if there's anything else I gotta tell you guys. I don't think that there's anything super urgent. I love you guys, and I will see you guys next week. Bye.